The observation deck of the Interstellar Research Station Meridian stretched before Farhat like a cathedral of stars. He pressed his forehead against the cold viewport, watching the nebula beyond paint cosmic colors across the darkness. His breath fogged the glass in rhythmic patterns. Another day, another mystery, he muttered to himself, a habit he'd developed during the lonely months of deep space research. The quantum readings are off again. Command won't believe this. Hell, I don't believe this. He pulled up his datapad, scrolling through incomprehensible energy signatures that had been emanating from the derelict alien vessel they'd discovered 3 weeks ago. The ship was unlike anything humanity had encountered in their brief 2 centuries of interstellar exploration. Organic, crystalline, and completely dead. Or so they'd thought. If I'm right about the harmonic frequencies, Farhat continued his monologue, then this ship isn't dead at all. It's sleeping. Waiting for something, someone. He laughed bitterly. Great. I'm theorizing about sentient starships now. Next, I'll be believing in space ghosts. Not ghosts, a melodic voice said behind him. But close enough. Farhat spun around, his datapad clattering to the deck. Standing in the doorway was a woman, or something that resembled a woman. Her skin held an opalescent quality that shifted between pearl and violet under the station's lights. Her eyes were large and luminous, the color of distant galaxies, and her hair moved as if submerged in water despite the artificial gravity. She smiled, and it was the most human expression on an utterly inhuman face. I heard everything, she said simply, taking a step forward. Your thoughts about my ship. Your loneliness. Your hope that you're wrong because being right would terrify you. Farhat's hand instinctively moved to the emergency comm on his collar, but he didn't press it. Something in her demeanor wasn't threatening, it was curious, almost amused. You're from the derelict, he said, his voice steadier than he felt. You're alive. My name is Elsa, and yes, I suppose I am alive by your standards. She moved with an otherworldly grace to the viewport, standing beside him. Though I'm not entirely sure what I am anymore. I've been asleep for 3,000 of your years, Farhat. How do you know my name? Were you reading my thoughts? I wasn't trying to, Elsa said, and there was genuine apology in her tone. Your species. You broadcast. Constantly. Not through technology, but through something deeper. Every stray thought, every whispered word to yourself, every emotion. It radiates from you like light from a star. Farhat felt exposed, vulnerable. That's not possible. Humans don't have telepathic abilities. No, Elsa agreed, turning to face him fully. You have something far more extraordinary. You have consciousness that refuses to be contained. Even when you're alone, you narrate your existence. You question, you doubt, you hope, you dream out loud into the universe as if calling out to someone who might be listening. Her expression softened. In 3,000 years of traveling the cosmos, I've never encountered another species that does this. You're saying humans are unique because we talk to ourselves? I'm saying humans are unique because you're never truly alone, even in the vast emptiness of space. You carry conversations with yourselves, with the universe, with possibilities that don't exist yet. Elsa reached out, her hand hovering near his shoulder but not touching. My people, the Kalari, we were masters of telepathy. We could share thoughts instantaneously across light years, but we were silent inside ourselves. We needed others to exist, to think, to be. When my ship malfunctioned and I was left alone, I faded, became dormant. And now I heard you. One human, talking to himself about quantum mechanics and sentient starships and space ghosts. Your internal dialogue was so loud, so vibrant, so alive that it woke me from a sleep I thought would be eternal. Elsa's smile widened. You saved me, Farhat, by simply being yourself. Farhat looked at this impossible being before him, processing everything. The implications cascaded through his mind like dominoes. This is going to change everything. First contact, telepathy, proof that humans possess a form of consciousness unique in the known galaxy? Elsa interrupted gently. Yes, but more importantly, it proves what I've always suspected about sentience. What's that? That the loudest voices in the universe aren't the ones that shout across the stars through technology or telepathy. They're the quiet ones. The ones brave enough to think out loud, to question their existence, to speak into the void even when no one should be listening. She finally placed her hand on his shoulder and her touch was warm, real. Your people do this naturally. You're all philosophers and poets talking to yourselves, creating meaning from chaos, refusing to accept silence. Farhat found himself smiling. That's a very generous interpretation of humanity's tendency to overthink everything. Perhaps. But it's also what makes you dangerous. Elsa's expression grew serious. In my observations before I slept, I watched species rise and fall. The ones who survived weren't the strongest or the most technologically advanced. They were the ones who maintained internal dialogues, who questioned their assumptions, who talked themselves through problems even when no solution seemed possible. Humanity, fanin, yeah? Farhat said it without thinking, using the old Earth phrase that had become a cultural touchstone. Exactly, Elsa laughed, a sound like crystal chimes. Though I don't fully understand that particular expletive's etymology. They stood together at the viewport, human and alien, watching the stars. Farhat's mind raced with questions, theories, and implications, but he kept them to himself this time, or tried to. I can still hear you, Elsa said softly, wondering if this is real, if I'll disappear, if humanity is ready for this. Sorry, occupational hazard. Never apologize for thinking. Farhat. In a universe that tends toward entropy and silence, consciousness, your kind of loud, persistent, annoying consciousness is the greatest rebellion of all. Farhat laughed genuinely this time. Somewhere behind them, alarms would soon be going off. Security would arrive. Scientists would descend like locusts. Diplomats, military officers, and historians would follow. Everything was about to change. But for now, in this moment, there was just a human who talked to himself, and an alien woman who heard everything. Two impossible beings finding connection in the infinite dark. So, Farhat said, what happens now? Elsa smiled. Now you keep talking, and I'll keep listening. Let's see what conversations between our species might sound like. And in the observation deck of the Meridian, as stars wheeled overhead and two civilizations stood on the precipice of first contact, Farhat did what came naturally to every human who'd ever lived. He started talking to himself again. And this time someone was truly listening.